Hey, everybody, welcome back to another daily drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and the topic today, Carolina basketball. The Tar Heels started practice formally earlier this week. Since classes started, they were doing about 2 practices a week, which is what the NCAA allows now at 6 practices a week. They are grinding toward the season, which begins November 4th at home against Elon. Before that, we get to see them at Memphis in an exhibition game that will feel a lot like a game. And of course, they have the blue-white game in Asheville, and they have an exhibition game at home against Johnson C. Smith the week before the opener. The Tar Heels have 2 starters back. One of them needs no introduction, R.J. Davis, last year's ACC Player of the Year. We're going to preview him, what to expect this year. But before we do that, we got to talk about the numbers and his achievements from last year. His senior year, he is using the COVID year, so this is year number 5 for RJ. But he had an incredible year last year. Led the ACC in scoring, 21.2 points a game, shot 42.8% from the field, 39.8% from 3, and he was 0 for 9 that last game against Alabama in the Sweet 16. A regular RJ game would probably lifted him about 40% and also lifted the Tar Heels to the Elite 8, 3.6 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 1.2 steals, played just under 35 minutes a game, 87.3% from the line. He kind of dropped a little bit, was a little bit more human the last 2 months of the season. He also scored 20 points, 23 out of 37 games. He was automatic. And this is a great stat. He scored 784 points last year. He is now 5th all-time in scoring at Carolina with 2,088 points. If you add 784 to 2,088, meaning Davis replicates the season, that puts him at 1,872 points, which would tie him with Tyler Hansbrough for the all-time leading scoring list for North Carolina. So 785 pushes him past Tyler. I didn't think anyone was going to pass Tyler, but I also thought that before COVID hit and guys got a 5th year. Nevertheless, it's legitimate. He has to have a great year to do it. He has to be an ACC Player of the Year type dude to do it. First team All-America, which is what he was last year. And we'll talk more about this year in just a second. A couple of other things. He's 2nd all-time at Carolina and made 3-pointers with 274. He's 25 behind Marcus Page. So I would assume at some point in maybe late December, early January, he will pass Marcus and be Carolina's all-time leader in made 3-pointers. His jersey's already going up in the rafter. At the end of this quick discussion, we'll determine perhaps the jersey moves to the front row of the rafter. And don't wince. I know that's a special row in this program's history, but RJ has a chance to achieve something that would put him there. National Player of the Year would do it. No doubt about it. So he is certainly in the running for something like that going into the season. Now, is it best for Carolina if he replicates last season, or should there be more spreading around? I think you can say yes and no to both. And it's something that some people have asked over their last 2 months or so, 3 months, when the topic of Carolina basketball comes up. Well, do we need RJ to score 21.2 points a game? Something along those lines. Well, yeah, it worked last year. They were number 1 seed. They won the ACC regular season. They were number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, got to the Sweet 16. If he's 2 for 9, maybe even just 1 for 9, Tar Heels advance and play Clemson in the regional final. So yeah, RJ having that kind of prolific year, being very shot heavy at times, was okay. That team got away with it because it still had other very good parts that didn't have to take a lot of shots. Now this year, does Cade Tyson need a certain number of shots to be as productive as he needs to be? What about Van Allen Lubin? What about Jalen Washington? What about Jalen Withers? What about Elliot Cadeau? Does he shoot more? When Seth Trimble's in the game, is he putting up more shots? We'll have to wait and see how this thing evolves. But I don't think if you were to fast forward 6 months and see RJ at 21.2 points a game with the same basic numbers as last year, that's a bad thing. You can do that again and have the same kind of year, or maybe even a better year, because the parts this club has might create more shot opportunities. Carolina was highly efficient at times, but wasn't always super high scoring. I think you're going to see an uptick on a game-by-game basis of how much the Tar Heels score. I think they're going to get more transition buckets. I think they're going to get quicker shots in the half court. And they're going to get a lot of movement shots this year. RJ is going to factor into that stuff. RJ getting some movement shots where he gets to the rim and doesn't get hammered to the floor would be great news for him. Dude got banged up each of the last 4 years. He hits the floor hard. He gets hammered hard, but he keeps getting up, does his thing. So I think fair expectations for RJ this year is at the very minimum, he's going to be very good. At the very minimum, he's a first-team All-ACC guy. At the very minimum. He may not win ACC Player of the Year. It's hard to do it 2 times in a row. Very few have ever done that. He could still have a fantastic year and not win that award. There's some other guys that could have great years as well and might just get the vote because RJ won't be new and fresh anymore. The media sometimes tends to go with the new and fresher object. Don't know why. I've never voted that way, but it happens. He also might still be a first or maybe a second team. Worst case would be a second team All-America. So first team All-ACC, second team All-America. Before last season, everybody that roots for North Carolina would have taken that, stuffed in their back pocket and ran laughing. So I think you're going to get the very minimum that from RJ. But RJ's so mentally tough. He's a smart guy. He's shrewd, mentally tough. He's highly competitive. He's also very good at self-evaluation. He knows when he does things wrong, when he makes a mistake. I think he's a good self-policer on the court, and you'll see that from him this year. And I think he's going to enjoy having some games where he chucks it to somebody and they score. Because if you have other dudes that can go for 18 to 20, and you never know, one night it could be Jay Wash, another night it could be Lubin, another night it could be Tyson. You know, Cadeau hit 18 in the game last year. Maybe he's ready to go for 20. Maybe Withers goes for 20. Maybe Ian Jackson or Drake Powell are those kind of guys. If that's the case, RJ is not getting extra attention because of what's around him. His efficiency rating could go up and he could have the same production while maybe not occupying the ball as much. That's certainly possible. The bottom line is we'll see how things evolve. I think at the very minimum, Carolina's going to have a very good player, one of the top 10, 15 players in the country. At the minimum, I'm not projecting him as just one of the top 10 or 15. I'm saying at the minimum. At the high end, he could be a National Player of the Year. He could be that kind of guy. And he has a reputation. The national media know who he is. I think a lot of people appreciate his game when he's doing those daggers and he's red hot and he just kind of draws a certain kind of attention to himself, which is very positive. It's going to win a lot of people over. He made a push last year for sure. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. How do you look at RJ's season this year? If his numbers drop to say 18 points a game, do you think that that's a down year, or do you think that could be fine if everybody else is playing at the level that many of us believe that they will? I think this team's going to be really good. I think it's going to be really fun and really good. Tell me what you think. What kind of years is RJ going to have? Is he going to win ACC Player of the Year again? Is he going to be first team All-America? Is he going to win the National Player of the Year award, the main ones? The ones that Zach Edey owned the last 2 years. Let us know what you think. RJ's the easiest one to launch into these preview series that we're going to do on these daily drops, looking at all the scholarship Tar Heels. But he's also the right one to launch this thing. He's easy because we know so much about him. He's easy because we just rattle off stats and talk about honors. But he's also the right one to start this thing because he is the engine of the team. This is his group. He came back to win. He came back to set some records. He came back to play ball with a great NIL deal. And he has a chance to put himself in a rare group of company in Carolina basketball lore. So tell us what you think that ultimate group will be. How big is it? How small is it? Let us know. I'm AJ, and I appreciate you stopping by.